Hey gang, Uncle Todd here, along with Sunny, and we're looking at episode 4 of Loki. And what an episode it was. We start out with Miss Minutes showing video to Rayanna, in which we get a visual of the audio that Loki heard in the first episode of this season. And we learn that he wiped her memory. They were supposed to run the TVA together, but as Victor Timely said, he does not do partners. We then move to the TVA, where Victor arrives and he meets Obi, and he's happy to meet Obi because all of his inventions were inspired by the TVA manual that Obi wrote. And then Obi reveals that Victor Timely was the man who inspired him to write of all those things in the TVA. So it's like Obi's namesake, which I can't even pronounce anymore, a snake eating its own tail. Well, Hunter B-15 goes to see General Dox and the men that are held with her, and asks her for their help. They know that Dox was only doing what she did to protect the sacred timeline. Well, that's no longer a thing, but if she still believes in what the TVA wants to do, help them maintain this new iteration. Then she leaves so Dox can and the men can ponder it. Brad, of course, just wants to go back to his old life. Then Rayanna shows up and she offers them to follow her. She'll let them go anywhere on the sacred timeline to have a life. Brad immediately joins. Dox not so much. The rest of the men, no. Dox knows Rihanna's not interested in TVA. She just wants to rule. She just wants power for the sake of power. So Miss Minutes turns on the cube device and they are all crushed. And it is a horrific scene, even though you don't see anything. All you see is Brad's reactions, his looking away, his and you hear the sounds of well, Miss Minutes has taken over all the computers of the TVA. And while she does that, Brad goes out and snatches Victor. They want to know what he is doing here, what he's working on. So Victor kind of tells them of the problem with the the Loom going to blow up, and how they're going to put this machine in that will expand the ring so that it can handle the additional timelines. Well, a rescue attempt is attempted, and Loki and Sylvie get separated. And as Loki's making his way up, because the elevator left without him, he realizes he is now in the future that his earlier self time slipped into. And so to make sure that he gets pulled out of the time slip, Loki basically pruned himself back in episode 1. Thought it was Sylvie, it wasn't. It was Loki himself. As for the ringing phone, that was Obi. He was calling to see how things are going. They've got to recapture control of the station, of the TVA, before the Loom explodes. But with Miss Minutes in control, they can't. Obi suggests, I could reboot the system, but that would cause some problems, and they're just like, do it. He reboots. Miss Minutes gets basically erased. And before she goes, the last thing she says is to Victor, you'll never be him. And then disappears. So Brad is sent out to keep anyone from getting to them, and Sylvie enchants him, and he goes in and basically proves Rayanna. Anyway, Victor is taken back to the observation deck where they can get out to the Loom, and Obi's there, and Victor's temporal pattern matches, and they're able to unlock everything. And the Loom is so out of control. The radiation is everywhere. But somebody has got to take the device, which has Victor's added device that he was making back in the 1890s that helps pinpoint the machine Obi built. Victor says he's the one who has to go. If something goes wrong, he would be able to fix it. And he puts on the suit and repeats to himself, time to be brave, because he's always been a coward. And then, in the biggest shock, I think it was the entire season, he doesn't get more than one step on the bridge, but the temporal radiation is so great, he is literally unraveled into strands and just blown away like a daffodil. It looks like spaghetti, but like a daffodil, when you blow on it, it just goes everywhere. My theory is that this is how Kang ends up in all the multiple timelines. Basically, every one of those strands hits a different timeline, and that's how you get a Kang. And that's why he sent Rayanna back with the TVA manual to give to the young Victor so that he would be able to do this. And someone online pointed out an interesting fact, that if he had just left Victor to just make his candles as he was doing, there probably wouldn't be any Kang variants, and they wouldn't have had a war. But he who remains wants to return. And of course, with Victor gone and the machine outside and nobody able to go out there with it, because same thing would happen, they watch in agony and fear as the radiation rushes up. Bright flash of light. End of episode. Probably all destroyed. But we still got 2 more episodes to go, so where are we heading now? Really good episode. A lot of surprises. There's some good humor when Victor finds out they have a hot chocolate machine. A machine that makes hot chocolate. Well, this he has to see. And before he takes a drink, he looks at his guard and he hands it to him. Please, you first. He's still not trusting everybody. And I like the fact that both Victor and Obi kind of inspired each other, causing basically a time loop. Who came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Who inspired who first? Don't know. Looking forward to the next episode. Wondering where Loki will show up. I'm wondering if the start of the next episode, because you always saw in the previews where he time slipped in front of this jet ski store, and I'm wondering if that's where the next episode will start at. Fingers crossed, but we know Loki, he always survives. That's his greatest talent. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.